Eagle Community Television presents Community Connection with your host, Mike Cooper.
Hello and welcome again to Community Connection from Eagle Community Television. Thanks for watching. And thanks to our producer, Jeff Durall. We're at Custer Hall on the campus of Fort Hays State University in the second floor area, which is the Center of Civic Leadership for Fort Hays State University with the director, Dr. Kurt Brungart. And Dr. Brungart, first of all, talk a little about the center, if you would. Tell us about what it is and what its mission is.
The Center for Civic Leadership has been around now for a decade, and our mission is very simple, is that we want to help develop citizens among our student population. And so we have a number of program activities, both curricular and co-curricular, that encourage students not only to be outstanding students in their academic major, but more importantly, I think, to be active in their communities. And we want to instill that civic value in students. And so we give them an opportunity to learn about civic affairs, an opportunity to practice skills that are going to be important for them to be citizens. We want our university graduates to walk away successful in a career, but we also want them to be successful as a community player, that they tackle community problems, they run for office, or they're active in politics, they're active in their church, they're active in their community affairs, and addressing issues that we all deal with as a society. And so we have a number of programs that encourage students to get involved and do things.
Highlight some of those programs, would you, Dr. Brungart?
Sure. One of the programs we have is called Tigers in Service. It was created a decade ago, where we encourage our students to volunteer. And some of our students come here with very little experience in volunteerism, and so we hopefully teach them the values of how important that is. And so we provide opportunities from what they can do on campus, what they can do in the community of Hays and Ellis and Victoria and the surrounding area. But we get in vans and we go to New Orleans, Chicago, Atlanta, San Diego, and we volunteer where folks need help. And so whether that's tornado relief or in Wichita working to reduce human trafficking. So that's one of our programs called Tigers in Service. Another program we have is called American Democracy Project, where we want to encourage students not only to be civically engaged, but we want them to be politically engaged. Mm-hmm. It's important that students understand that they're going to need to be involved in public policy affairs when they get older, or even today. And that not only means voting, but learning about candidates, but also means about learning about your city council and how you can influence policy and address issues in your community. And so that's one of our programs. Another program we have is called the Global Leadership Project, where we help students learn about issues around the world and the importance they can play as global citizens. The last 2 years we've been in Costa Rica. We've sent students to Costa Rica, Honduras, working on issues in different Central American countries. And it's really about, social issues are not just taking place in Hays and Kansas and the nation, but they're taking place worldwide. And the final project we have here is called the Women's Leadership Project, where we hope we are empowering young women to be the leaders of tomorrow. There are barriers for women in our society, and we want to help break down some of those barriers and encourage and empower young women to challenge and be successful in leadership.
Well, Dr. Brungart, from my own perspective in watching this program develop over the years, I've seen the results. I've seen young people out in the communities doing projects, volunteering, taking leadership roles, and doing things like that. So I think you're making an impact. I really do.
Well, I think so too. It's, we've been at this for a while. I'm inspired by what I see in our students. Swipe is a great example where we food package stuff. And one thing that I have seen change in the decade that we've been doing this is that a lot of our students now, let me back up. We used to have to go out and really recruit hard to find students to volunteer and stuff like that. Today, after the first day of enrollment, the number of students that come to us. So I think they're getting some of this attitude and skill set in high schools, and they want to continue that in college. And there is a deep desire among a lot of young people to get involved. And I hope that we're helping facilitate that and give them an avenue to do that. Mm-hmm. And it's inspiring to see students develop as freshmen here, then as seniors. Maybe as freshmen they might volunteer a little bit, but as seniors they're not only volunteering, but they're in front of the school district asking for this change, or they're involved in the city council in Ellis and we need to make this change here. And so you can see the development, what we call the continuum of citizenship, from volunteerism to social justice. And so it's exciting to see that.
And there's such an intertwining of all of these. Politics matters because it influences lives locally, daily, nationally, even internationally.
Let me share an example that I talk about a lot. You know, it is important to volunteer at the local soup kitchen, for example. But if that's all we ever do, we're always going to have a soup kitchen. What I'm going to ask students to do is to look at the underpinnings and causes of why we have a soup kitchen. Challenge that. What are some of the social, economic, and political factors that create the conditions for us to have, why we have to have a soup kitchen? That's the hard work of citizenship. Let's challenge certain environmental factors so we can eliminate the need for that.
Well, and we see time and again, local, statewide even, there are many areas where people can serve, but they don't. Sometimes they're political races, for example, that don't have any opposition candidates inside.
Yeah, you know, and I hope that we're creating a generation of young people that graduate here that recognize their role and that they have to step up. And it's, you know, our graduates are coming from a public institution, and I always share with them that they have a responsibility to give back to the citizens of Kansas that help provide their education, and that all graduates I have an expectation of them that they need to play a larger role in society in their community's future.
This message that you're presenting, is it having an effect, you think, from your perspective, Dr.
You know,
Brungart?
it is interesting because I am seeing our graduates doing a lot of different things. I'm very involved in public policy work at the state level, and it's interesting to see some of my former students as representatives now or senators, or involved in coalitions and nonprofit organizations, on boards. And so it's exciting that many of them are doing that. I guess I hope that we played some small role in encouraging that to take place.
Well, and talking about one of the areas of involvement here for the director of Fort Hays State Center for Civic Leadership, Dr. Kurt Brungart, is the Campus Safe Initiative. Tell us about that, Dr.
You
Brungart.
know, there's a national movement to encourage college campuses to better prevent and respond to gender-based violence, whether that be dating violence, sexual assault, or stalking. And this national movement has been taking place for some time. And it's being led by the White House, U.S. Department of Education, U.S. Department of Justice, and victims of these crimes on college campuses. And we've been proactive at Fort Hays State, thanks to folks from Student Affairs and also folks in Academic Affairs, that Fort Hays State needs to do a better job of preventing these kinds of crimes on our campus, and we need to do a better job of responding when those crimes do take place. And we've created a coalition of faculty members and staff and students have created an organization or a committee called the Campus Safe Initiative for us to look at ourselves. Are we doing what we can to prevent these kinds of crimes among our students? Are we doing what we can to better respond? What can we do to better respond to these issues? And so I couldn't be happier to be part of it, a campus that's being proactive rather than being forced, like some campuses in the state, they're being forced by the feds, that we're initiating that work ourselves. Keegan Nichols, our Title IX coordinator at the university, is doing a great job of really pushing this issue, and we're very excited about that.
And there are a lot of components that have to go into this Campus Safe Initiative, don't they, Dr. Brungart?
Absolutely. You know, what we have to do is there's two pieces of legislation, federal legislation, that really encourages college campus to do a better job with this. One is the 1972 Title IX Act, that we have a responsibility that everybody has an equal opportunity for education, and that if someone's a victim of gender-based violence, they're not getting an equal opportunity for education. And so that piece of legislation, in addition to the 2013 Campus Save Act, which was passed by Congress and signed by President Obama, that really encourages college campus to do, not encourages, requires college campuses to do prevention work on these things. And so what we're trying, and now the feds are starting to enforce that. So we want to be ahead of that, and we want to do it for the right reasons, that we want to be sure that we're providing adequate prevention activities for all our students and our staff. And then that when these crimes do take place, services are available for victims, and that the perpetrators are held accountable. And so those things are happening, and it's exciting to see.
And it gives parents a sense of, if you will, comfort to know that their students, when they're coming to Fort Hays State University, are going to be in a safe environment.
You know, these kinds of things have been happening for hundreds of years on college campuses, but it's only more recently that it's been in the public eye. And I'm happy about that, actually. And of course, as a father who lost a daughter on a college campus to these issues, you can imagine how personal it is for me. And so I'm excited to see this new national focus. I credit Congress, I credit the President Obama's administration for really making this a public issue. And college campuses are listening, and things are happening, and Fort Hays State's leading that charge in Kansas, and I couldn't be more excited about that.
And I'd like for you to address some numbers, because the perception might be from some, oh, well, this is Kansas. This doesn't happen.
Right.
It's amazing the amount of domestic violence and ultimate outcomes that occur.
Yeah, let me just talk on college campus, and then I'll talk nationally. On college campuses, 1 in 5 women will be sexually assaulted in their college experience in this country. 1 in 5. When you think about those numbers are alarming. When it comes to domestic violence in this country, 1 in 4 women will experience domestic violence in their lifetime in this nation. And to bring that to Kansas, to give you an idea, 100,000 women a year will be victims of domestic violence in Kansas, and 1 in every 13 days a woman will die as a result of domestic violence in Kansas. So and we're a small state of 2.8 million people. Domestic violence and sexual assault is a serious social disease that needs to be addressed. And we're doing a better job than we were a decade ago, but we have a long way to go.
1 in every 13 days. Dr. Brungardt, that sounds to me like there are more women who are at risk of dying from domestic violence than there is from traffic accidents in the state.
Absolutely. Domestic violence is considered one of the leading causes of injury from women or girls from the age of 15 to 44 than any other cause of injury. It's one of the major reasons that women and girls go to ERs in this country. And that's how rampant this issue is. And in general, or in history, typically people don't talk about this issue. It's a family matter, or it's kind of, just swept under the rug. And the one thing that the Ray Rice situation has done in this country is created a national conversation that needed to take place. And I think that's important.
Well, and that was that National Football League incident, I believe.
Right. That's
and that kind of highlighted the fact that there wasn't much discussion. There wasn't a proactive plan like Fort Hays State has developed.
Exactly. And I think for the first time, at least in my involvement in this work, that people are willing to have this conversation and are willing to address the issue, willing to say it exists, and that I know somebody that's been in this situation. I know a family member, and it's time to start talking about it. It's time to get aggressive in doing our prevention work. And so I'm encouraged by that. A lot of work needs to be done in middle schools and high schools. It's amazing that these issues are taking place in our middle schools and high schools, and that's what the research shows as well.
But we know that if there is a movement that is going to make changes, it's going to come from the young people.
Absolutely.
And it's going to come from leaders like Dr. Kurt Brungardt, director of the Fort Hays State University Center for Civic Leadership, our community connection. Thanks for watching.